I saw the moon rise over Mount Cypress. It rose so very fast. I couldn't believe how fast it came around. And I remembered that we're on this rock that spins us very fast. No, you wouldn't believe how fast it's spinning around. We're all a part of a love so big we don't notice it at all. We're all a part of a love so big we don't notice it at all. Big things go unnoticed when we think so very small. Feel the energy inside you. Well, the same thing made the sun, and it hung the star you wished upon tonight. So please remember that you're everything, and everything is one. Yeah, you are the star you wished upon tonight. We're all a part of a love so big we don't notice it at all. We're all a part of a love so big we don't notice it at all. Yeah, the big things go unnoticed when we think so very small. Yeah, but we won't stay that way, because we're waking up and we're changing every day. I'm slowly waking up. I'll be okay if I just practice what I preach. We're all a part of a love so big we don't notice it at all. I said that we're all a part of a love so big we don't notice it at all. Big things go unnoticed when we think so very small. Yeah, but we won't stay that way, nah, because we're waking up and we're changing every day. La da 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 da.
There is but one God, one life, and that life is my life right here, right now. In the present, it is a gift. I know that Spirit, the thing I call God, is ever present. It moves, breathes, and has its being in me and everything and everyone else at all times. It is always available for the mere asking. This day I recognize my spiritual community, my home within a home, New Dawn, supported by volunteers, the music team, the AV team, the hospitality team, and my fellow practitioners, all holding and building up this community so that we may come here on Sundays and commune together. I know for Reverend Jen, the message is clear, delivered straight from her heart, and touching us so deeply as it always does. I pray specifically for anyone who is feeling dis-ease or discomfort to know that the true you is always safe, loved, cared for. I'm grateful to be able to say these words, knowing they have been spoken into the universe and returned right now. I can release and let go, knowing everything is grand as the plan I've asked for. And together we say, and so it is. Selected readings, 8 Things You Need to Do to Have a Good Life by Ladidi K. Let go of the past. Don't take things too personally. Choose less over more. Appreciate what you have. Stop worrying about the future. Realize that you are enough. Watch for new opportunities and choose kindness. From George Bernard Shaw. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. And from our founder, the Honorable Dr. Ernest Holmes. This thing called life flows through everything and translates into every human act. Discover where you give your attention and be quickened with new energy. Breathe the essence of being into your thoughts. Believe in the law of life rightly. Use it affirmatively. Identify yourself with your desires and master your thinking to become you, the thinking center in life. The chief characteristic of law of this life as it responds to your thought. Creative intelligence is in motion, causing it to create circumstances corresponding with your thought. Think of life as always bringing to you everything you need. This renewed partnership with the invisible prospers you in everything you do. The spiritual gifts people seek are not being withheld by God, for life is never vindictive. It does not withhold anything. Life is love, beauty, wisdom, energy, and imagination.
The day started out almost like any other day. The sun rose in the east. People began to get up, get moving with their day, preparing to go to work or school or whatever task they had on their agenda that day. The temperature across the northern hemisphere was pretty moderate. The skies were clear and blue. Everything seemed so normal. People were traveling. They were getting into cars and subways, buses, trains, airplanes. A group of people boarded a plane. And within minutes of that plane taking off, those individuals realized it wasn't a normal day after all. 40 passengers and crew were able to place 13 phone calls from that plane while it was in the air. and overcome by terrorists. 37 phone calls were completed to family and friends. And what the people on the plane discovered was the horrific tragedy that was taking place at the World Trade Center and at the Pentagon. And they began to realize what was in their path. And what they came to be even more aware of is that they could not allow this plane, Flight 93, to continue to its destination of Washington, D.C. They took a vote, they took action, and the plane went down in a field right outside of Shanksville, Pennsylvania, saving hundreds of thousands of lives. When we look at a life that matters, let us remember today what transpired 21 years ago in our United States. Let us remember the amazing people who stepped forward, stepped up, took a risk, took a chance, gave their lives for others at a moment in time when we were completely under attack. It was difficult to know what was going to happen next. It was difficult to understand what was happening in that moment. Even those of us who were safe in our homes to this day question what we witnessed, what we saw, and what we heard. I am not going to tell you that in order for you to create a life that matters, you must sacrifice yourself for another. But I do encourage you to consider what it would take to make a contribution to others, to the planet, by creating a life that matters. We are blessed in that we don't have to make a decision like that we don't have to say goodbye to our family over the phone, that we have the ability to take deep breaths, at least as we know it today, to walk outside, to breathe the beautiful air, to feel the amazing breeze this September day, and to know that we still have opportunity to create a life that matters. And this week, let us take all of the amazing people that we are aware of who gave so much on 9/11. Not only that day, but some of them even lost their lives within days and weeks following. Let's carry them in our hearts. Let's say a prayer of gratitude for all that they gave, all that they did, and send blessings to all of their families who remain. Hafiz said, "The place where you are right now, God circled on a map for you." The place where you are right now. Some of us don't know quite how we got here. Well, God circled a spot on the map. Said, I want you to play here. I want you to serve here. I want you to create here. We aren't here by accident. No one of you is an accident. I've talked about this before because, some of us were told as kids that we were accidents. Yeah. Different kind of accident? No. The divine plan was not accidental. It was very purposeful and still is. We are here by divine purpose. We are here to do good work. We are here to create lives that matter. So this week, I encourage you to just take a look around. What needs to be done? Who needs your love? Who needs your support? Who is that person that is just needing something a little bit more? And you can easily gift that to them. Sometimes we do that without even thinking about it. In 1927, at the age of 32, Buckminster Fuller stood on the shores of Lake Michigan, devastated, destroyed, broken. He was preparing to throw himself into the waters, the icy waters of Lake Michigan, and allow the water to take his life. He had just lost his firstborn child. He was bankrupt. He was discredited. He was jobless, and he had a wife and a newborn baby girl. And he couldn't see a way out, and he couldn't see a way up. And so he thought it was over. But during this bit of process, before he stepped into this water, a realization struck him. That realization was that his life did not belong to himself. His life belonged to the universe. So he chose instead to embark on an experiment. He decided that what he was going to do from that moment forward was to discover what a penniless, unknown individual like him might be able to do effectively on behalf of humanity. Over the next 54 years, Buckminster Fuller proved time and again that his most controversial ideas were practical and workable. During the course of this remarkable experiment, he was awarded 25 U.S. patents. He authored 28 books. He received 47 honorary doctorates in the arts, science, engineering, and humanities, and he received dozens of major architectural and design awards. Buckminster Fuller is best known for the invention of the geodesic dome, the lightest, strongest, and most cost-effective structure ever devised. He says to us this: the mission of life is to align our heartbeat with the rhythm of the universe. This week, as we turn our attention to creating a life that matters, let us remember these words and align our heartbeat with the rhythm of the universe. What a beautiful concept. I'm here to tell you today that each one of you has already made a difference by being here today, by being here in this room with us, by being part of this Sunday Connection service. Whoever you spoke to before you got here today, whoever you interacted with before you got here today, you made a difference. We are doing it moment by moment. I think the greatest challenge for us sometimes is that we aren't aware of how great we are. And I have been so incredibly blessed in my life because even to this day, someone will send me a note in the mail or an email and tell me something that has just happened in their life that shifted because of some interaction they had with me at some point in time. Now, that's one of the blessings of having been a trainer for 20-some years, 26 years. I touched a whole lot of people. I was training them in the arena of customer service, but I was training them to live their best life based on the philosophy of science of mind, even though for a big portion of that career, I didn't know that's what I was teaching, and they never knew that's what I was teaching. But by the time I left my last position, everybody talked about the universe. It was common knowledge in the office to make a comment about, well, I guess the universe didn't think I should have done that. Well, I guess not, whatever, and we moved on. Consider all the people you've come in contact with. Consider every hug, every kind word, every affirmation, every word of encouragement. We are touching lives. We are changing lives every single day. So let us pay attention to that and create a life that matters. I love this quote from the famous person Unknown. At the end of life, what really matters is not what we bought, but what we built. Not what we got, but what we shared. Not our competence, but our character. And not our success, but our significance. Live a life that matters. Live a life of love. What is your plan for the rest of today? When you leave this building and you go back out into that life that you live, what is your plan? Who do you plan to connect with? Who do you plan to talk to? What do you plan to do? What are the things that are coming forth for you this week? This week, all I'm asking you to do is every day do one thing. One thing that maybe you would not have done otherwise. One little thing that maybe you wouldn't have considered before. One thing. I have been carrying teddy bears in the front seat of my car for about, 3 weeks. I found them up in the closet. They're pretty new. I'm not even sure how they morphed into being up in my closet, but they decided that they needed to go for a ride in the car, so I put them in the car. Something prompted me. And I know that at some point in time, I'm going to come across someone who needs one of those teddy bears. So they're sitting in the front seat. We have conversations. I know, call me crazy, but that's my life. And we have conversations, and I worry about not parking in the shade because it's too hot for them. Sometimes it's just that intuitive little hit we get that says, why don't you do this? Why don't you take this $5 bill and go get a whole bunch of quarters in case you need to give out some quarters to somebody? Maybe you need to have bottles of water in the car. Maybe you need to have, maybe there's something, some little thing that is kind of niggling at your head and asking you to consider this. Do that. Do that. It may matter so significantly to another person, and you may never, ever know the impact. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, said this: we must enter into the spirit of life, into the joy of living, into the usefulness of creative endeavor. If we feel we are simply onlookers and not participants in the game of life, we should rediscover the youthful spirit of that childlike joy which gave to us the energy, happiness, security, and faith we had as children. As children, we had strong faith. I had a friend, I think I was 6 years old. So his sister was probably 8 and he was probably 5. He had faith that he could fly. And he climbed up on the garage shed and jumped. And he broke his arm. And the parents were, all of the parents, my parents, his parents, everybody was like freaking out. And he wasn't even crying. And I thought it was so interesting because I'm watching this kid. And his mother is saying to him, don't you know you can't fly? And he goes, I just did. I just did. I went from there to there. I just didn't land right. I was sitting there going, oh my gosh. Now at that time I didn't realize that was faith. But for him that was faith. If you are bored with your life, if you are disgruntled, if you are having challenges, there are days when I'm sitting around the house and I'm thinking, am I bored? Is that what's going on here? If these things are going on for you, take a moment and reconsider the childlike joy and wonder you once had. Every minute of every day. Kindergartners are the happiest people on the planet. They can't wait to get out of bed, get dressed, grab breakfast, and get out the door because there is excitement waiting for them. My friends, there is excitement waiting for each and every one of us. We just need to tune in to that childlike wonder and that childlike joy. Patanjali tells us this: when you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitations. Your consciousness expands in every direction, and you find yourself in a new, great, and wonderful world. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you ever dreamed yourself to be. How beautiful. We know how this works. You go in the kitchen and you decide to prepare a meal, and 30 minutes later you are lost in the energy and the fragrance of what's going on. You sit down and you begin to write something that is meaningful to you or that has just crossed your heart or your mind. And 30, 40 minutes, an hour later, you are still writing and the words are just flowing onto the paper. You pick up a paintbrush and you pick up a piece of, and you have an easel or whatever substance you want to paint on, and you start to envision what you're doing and you get lost in it. Creativity is an incredible thing. Are we taking the time to create? What I discovered this last week is that creativity doesn't come with this little gizmo that I have by my sofa that's called a remote control. As soon as I push the button on that, I've shut it down. So guess what? I put it in a drawer. Because I want to live in that space of creativity. I want to live in that space of creating a life that matters, where I am touching the lives of others, where I'm here to do what I was destined to do within that little circle on the map where I exist. Vincent van Gogh said, "Your profession is not what brings home your paycheck. Your profession is what you were put on earth to do, with such passion and such intensity that it becomes spiritual in calling." Spirit is calling each and every one of us. Spirit is calling us all to collectively show up, be present, be that magnificent, incredible being that we were destined to be. Not to worry about where the money might come from, because Spirit is in charge of the how of the money. So we don't even need to get caught up in that. All we need to do is do the things that make us happy, do the things that we were destined to do the things that we are really good at, and create that space and that place of a life that truly matters. Please pray with me. As we breathe into this moment, to this space, this right here, this right now, we know that we are here living in the divine, part of the divine. The divine is within us, surrounding us, filling us. We are in it, of it, as it. It is in, of, and as us. Oh my goodness, how incredible it is to know that. To know that we are connected, that we are part of this amazing presence. Because by knowing this, by accepting it and embracing it, we realize we are never alone. We are always accompanied by God. How beautiful that is, how comforting that is. And in that simple understanding of that truth of our being, we know right here and right now that we go forward and we teach this truth to others. We share it. We explain it. We demonstrate the love and the compassion and the empathy that Spirit has put us here to express, touching all people, touching all lives. And so I know that for each and every one of us this week, we are blessed. Life is perfect. Life is good. And that we get to tap into that creativity of that source behind all things. And we get to make something. We get to create something. We get to build something that matters. That matters to the masses, to the people we love, to the families, to the neighbors, to our spiritual community and beyond. I'm so grateful. So grateful for each and every person who is in this room today hearing this message, and every person that hears this message online, and every life that each one of these people touch. And as that energy blossoms around the planet and encompasses all people, I just give great thanks for all we are and all that we have this day and every day. I know it's good. I know it's perfect. And by God, I know it is already done in the mind of God. And so we simply breathe this in and we let it go as we say together, and so it is.
Here we are, we don't know what for. We've got all we need, but we're fighting for more than we say. Hey, well, I am okay. We still fight every day, and we spin, chasing our tails. Those stories we live by, they lock us in jail, though we say, hey, well, I am okay. We still chase every day. It's hell in a hamster wheel, running in place from all we feel. Imagine what we could do if we dropped those things we do. Road to the love down Life Avenue. We don't stand a chance when all of our regrets come and ask us to dance. Though we say, hey, I don't like that tune, it still sweeps us away. And these strings are so tightly wound, and all of our frets make such sorrowful sounds. Though we say, hey, I am okay, we still fret every day. It's hell to be so afraid of changes to plans our hands have made. Oh, what our hands might do if they dropped those things they do and pick up love on Life Avenue. The best. We'll have a better view if we stop those things we do. Ride the love down Life Avenue.
Hello, I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.